This is an Eye on Annapolis bonus podcast.
Well, I'll tell you, Scythian first made the Annapolis scene, I think. First time I ever heard about him was back, I believe it was 2010 at the original Annapolis Irish Festival, and I've been a fan since. And joining us on the phone today is Danylo Fedoryka, who is the guitarist, the accordionist, and the co-founder of Scythian. Man, how you doing, Dan?
Great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Was that about when the first time you came into Annapolis was back at 2010 for the first Irish Festival?
Yeah, I would say that was very close. I think we may have done one pub show, like for the grand opening of Fido Irish Pub in Annapolis. But then I think pretty soon right after that, Eddie McGowan, God rest his soul, brought us in. We've been buddies. We've been playing a lot at other festivals together. And so he brought us in that first year, and it was just so great to be at a market. We started out in D.C., and to have done, we've been touring for like 5 or 6 years and never played Annapolis. So it's great to kind of lay roots finally in such a great city.
You played at the Irish Festival, and, admittedly, I am not the biggest Irish music fan personally myself, but I don't consider Scythian as really Irish. I mean, you've got some Celtic roots back in there for sure, but I mean, it's hard to define what Scythian music is. And that is actually the website. I probably should say that. It's Scythian Music, and it's SCYTHIAN music.com. And you're coming in here for one show only on Friday, June 7th. That's this Friday at Ram's Head on stage. It's an 8 o'clock show with the 7 o'clock doors. And there are a couple tickets still available at ramsheadonstage.com. But, I mean, do you agree with that? I mean, do you consider yourself a Celtic band?
We like you said, there's Celtic roots, but, my brother Alex and I were 100% Ukrainian. Both of our parents immigrated from Ukraine just before the Iron Curtain came down. So we grew up, Ukrainian was our first language, listening to the folk traditions and dancing. We're all Ukrainian, 100% Ukrainian all the time. And then my brother fell in love with the Celtic fiddle. So we're Ukrainians that fell in love with the lilt. And it's kind of an unstoppable feel when the Irish fiddle gets going. And so my brother went to Ireland, and he street performed, and he went to the pubs by night learning the tunes, and then street performed the next day the songs that he had learned the night before. And so we kind of have these two tapestries that we will work together, the Irish and the Ukrainian. They're kind of similar. They've both been oppressed for most of their history. They like to eat potatoes, and they like to drink. So, we're kind of like cousins anyway. But, a lot of people said, it's weird to say this, but you remind me of They Might Be Giants.
Okay.
And that's kind of weird. Okay, why? And I think part of it is They Might Be Giants. They just did whatever they wanted. They were the first kind of, alternative band, and they just did things that they thought were fun. It definitely had a sound, but they were very quirky. We always from the beginning said, it's kind of we describe ourselves as old time, good time. If it gets you up on your feet and dancing, we're gonna play it. And it doesn't have to be a specific like Irish or Ukrainian. You will hear Irish, Ukrainian. You may even hear Bulgarian music. But the main thing is we're always moving and changing gears and throwing curveballs so that before they know it, the listener is completely brought into the show because they can't categorize us and kind of put us into like this auto play. Okay, this guy's bluegrass. I don't like bluegrass. Always like, wait, I did not expect that. And that's kind of what They Might Be Giants were like. They were always throwing curveballs. I consider that a big compliment. It kind of worked against us in one way that we've never been part of a record label. We've had representation that, put us in front of the labels and stuff, but they just didn't know what to do with us because we're so all over the board. And, we always decided that we wouldn't sign anyway with a record label because we really enjoy the freedom of just playing what we love. And I think it translates. People always say, you guys look so happy on stage. And I think it is because we just have complete freedom. This is our 20th year as a band. We've survived 20 years with no labels. We are self-managed and do all that. But it's been our fans have been our record label. They kind of give us permission. They buy our merchandise. They buy tickets to our shows. And we're always experimenting. And I think that's kind of the thing that sets us apart.
Well, I tell you, I was looking at your website, and again, that's scythianmusic.com, and your tour is pretty extensive. And I mean, you've got one show we're sort of in the area here, and that's at Ram's Head on Stage this Friday. But then, I mean, you're off into California and everything else. And this is, I don't remember this way back when I discovered you, but you guys were presented to me, if you will, back at the Irish Festival. I don't remember the tours being quite that extensive. So, man, you guys are busy.
Yeah, right before COVID, we picked up our drummer, which is kind of the piece we've been looking for. He's a Cajun drummer. He's from Lafayette, Louisiana, and there's something about that Zydeco backbeat, which is just so heavy and so dancey. Of course, with the shutdowns during COVID, we really pivoted well. We got all the streaming equipment, and we did 30 live streams out of my living room. Every 2 weeks, we did a live stream. We called it the Quarren streams.
I remember those.
It was it was crazy. I mean, we had over 600,000 people tune in during the lockdowns. And, I think our fan base really grew. But what it really did, we didn't kind of see it at the time, but it was the petri dish that is the early years of a band all over again. So basically, in the beginning of your band, you'll do whatever it takes to survive because nobody knows you, nobody cares about you. So everyone is just all hands on deck, and it kind of makes you into a band. But the danger of bands as they get older is they kind of lose that chemistry. And that's why we often love like a band's first or second album. And then after that, they seem to kind of go soft. COVID shutdowns created that same environment of like, we lost all of our jobs. We have to do whatever it takes to survive. And, every 2 weeks, Johnny would fly up from Nashville and we'd tear apart my living room and set up a sound stage and, with 7 cameras and smoke machines. And we would make our own commercials and own little like miniseries, during the week and edit them. And, it was kind of the atmosphere that I remember when we were first starting. And the end result of that is people like longtime fans were saying, I've never heard you tighter or better. And it's kind of translating into these bookings. We're going to be in Reno, we're going to be in California, like in San Francisco and LA area. And we founded our own festival, Appaloosa. And this year we're doing a trip to Ireland because it's our 20th anniversary, a castle tour in Ireland. And then in February, we're doing our own cruise called the String Break Cruise with 9 other bands, including Carbon Leaf and Top House and a lot of our friends over the years. And so we kind of found ourselves, because of our festival and just the tightness of the unit, like we're kind of being pushed from behind right when most bands kind of start coasting out. Like 20 years in, most bands are like, well, we kind of used up our press and whatever, but it feels like we're a new band again. And that to me is like the greatest gift. I never could have imagined coming out of COVID that would be the result.
I've got an admission to make that about 7 years ago, I had brought my girlfriend to your show at Ram's Head on Stage, and she wasn't overly enthused because our tastes tend to differ in music. She sat down at the table, you guys took the stage, and she was absolutely blown away. Blown away, huge fan now, and she's a little bit ticked off that we're not going to be able to make the show this week just because we have a rehearsal dinner for a wedding to go. But as you say, I mean, you're just earning the fans one fan at a time, and it's grown. So, but what do we expect this time around as you come to Ram's Head? Now, for those that are looking to go now because you're out in California. Not that that's a horrible thing, but you're not going to be around Annapolis really anytime soon.
Well, we in January rented a cabin, literally a cabin that was built where my brother and I used to camp as little kids on these cliffs overlooking the Shenandoah River. And our best friend ended up buying the property, and he built a cabin right where we used to camp together as little boys. And it was snowing, and we're like looking down on the Shenandoah River, and we wrote 3 songs. Actually, we wrote more than that, but we have 3 songs that we're going to be at the Ram's Head. We're going into studio actually the following Thursday to record these as singles. So you're going to be hearing brand new music. Also, lately we've been having a ton of fun dusting up all the deep cuts. So if you're a longtime Scythian fan, we're playing songs off of our first couple of albums, which we haven't done in years. So we're just having more fun than we've ever had on stage. And it's an evening with, so you're going to get a lot of our music. And so you'll get to see the full spectrum of what we do. And, because it is such a great venue, a listening venue, we'll also play a lot more of our mid-tempo and, more cerebral tunes, which at a festival setting, you just don't have the time. You need to be bringing the party if you're closing out the stage at a festival. So it's going to be an opportunity to get to know more of our music and actually hear us talk and go back and forth, which we don't get to do that much in festivals because of limited time.
Do you prefer a festival in a large crowd, or do you? And I mean, I know you've got the enthusiasm and the vibe and everything is just so huge in a festival. And Ramshead is not. I mean, it's small, it's intimate. I mean, you're sitting at the table with me singing.
Oh, Dad, do I have a preference, man? I actually like that we're doing festivals because there's nothing like playing for like 10,000 people and feeling the energy. But we came up as a pub band, an Irish pub band, doing we'd go play, DC, Baltimore, Philly, DC, Baltimore, New York City, repeat, just all for 3 years. And we got to talk a lot then when we were a pub band because it's all about the banter, in the Irish pubs. Mm-hmm. And I really do miss that. So whenever we do get into an intimate venue, I feel like basically I'm in your living room, and it really lets me just kind of like, it lets us be very off script, which to me is my favorite thing that's what makes a show actually unique. Imagine we've done almost 2,000 shows. It could start feeling like Groundhog Day, except the only thing that does it is the people that show up and how they interact with us, and also how we interact with you guys. And so that's kind of the X factor, which has made me it doesn't feel like work. My wife laughs. She's like, you guys are like a bunch of little kids, building a tree fort or something. And that's what it does feel like that. And so I feel like I'm so lucky.
Well, I think that's probably got to be a better compliment than that whole They Might Be Giants compliment there. I mean, if you guys are that tight and it doesn't feel like work, and I mean, you guys are having fun. I mean, you can tell that. I mean, I know when I guess during COVID, you released that Best Friends video, and you could just tell that you guys were just having a blast. I mean, I think at that time we probably didn't know what the hell was going on or where the world was going to end or when, but it was just a lot of fun. And you can tell when you guys take the stage, whether it is in a festival or in a smaller venue, that, I mean, you guys really, really, truly love what you're doing. And I get what you're saying about being intimate with the audience. I was just talking 2 days ago with Paula Poundstone, and she said she had no idea what she does. She'll grab somebody in the audience and say, so what do you do for a living? And then off we go. So you can really figure out, and get involved in your audience's life and have them get involved in yours, which is really cool. I'll tell you what, you guys have been producing also the Appaloosa Festival, which is over in Front Royal, Virginia, over the Labor Day holiday weekend. And I think you've been doing that for about 5 or 6 years. Is that coming back again this year?
It is. Actually, believe it or not, this is our 9th year.
Oh, you kidding me? Oh, man.
Yeah. It's our 9th year. And kind of last year, we really felt that it went from a great community, like a national festival. We had 8,000 people, campers, show up. And the reason we founded it is we were always leaving the DC area to go find roots music camping festivals. And I just turned to my brother. I was like, Alex, there's a huge void here. DC, Annapolis, Northern Virginia, major metropolis without any festivals. We always are having to leave our home to find work. So I kind of had this suspicion if we built it, they would come. And because we tour year-round, and we produce the whole festival ourselves, we kind of buy low and sell high. And what I mean by that is we can often spot artists before they get big. So some of the alumni that we've had at Appaloosa are, Billy Strings for 2 days, and he gave a workshop. You're like, wow. You could have been 3 feet away from Billy Strings, and he could have been teaching you how to play. We've had Molly Tuttle. Right before she won her Grammy, she was at our festival because I just emailed her. I have her email, so I just emailed her. She's like, sure, I'll come to your festival. So because we tour, we can see, our hashtag is Appaloosa is where you find the next big thing. And so every Labor Day weekend in Front Royal, Virginia, it's basically 5 miles from the entrance of Skyline Drive, and then the Shenandoah River splits into two there. So there's you can go canoeing, kayaking, hiking on Skyline Drive. But then we have this festival ground. It's an old horse ranch, which is turned into a RV park. So it's perfect for there's RV camping, there's dry camping, there's car camping, and then we have like super VIP chalets that are there. So there's all the different ways of coming and enjoying the music. But one thing that kind of sets us aside, it's super hip in the fact that we have like award-winning Virginia craft beer, Virginia wine, even Virginia kombucha. But then we have kids 12 and under go for free. So it kind of somehow straddles, Disney World. Yeah, it's kind of like Epcot Center. Kids love to be at Epcot Center, but parents love to be there too. So it's kind of that version of a festival. There's kids everywhere running around, but there's people in the beer garden having a great time. And it's basically, you could just go not knowing any of the bands. Although this year we have Carbon Leaf as one of the headliners, good buddies of ours.
Yeah.
An amazing live show. And then we have like a lot of Top House. It's going to be, they just sold out 35 shows in a row. They're going to be huge. Yeah. Jig Jam. They just played at the Grand Ole Opry, but they're from Ireland. And they are friends of ours from the circuits. Oh, Kat Higgins is going to be there. She just wrote last year's Kenny Chesney's #1 hit, Knowing You. And then this year, she wrote She's a Painter, which just went #1. So both of those songs were nominated for Country Music Song of the Year in the last 2 years. And so she's going to be performing with her band. You would never have heard of her, but we just tour enough where we can find these people. And right now is early bird tickets. And if you're listening to this, you can check it out at AppaloosaFestival.com. Tickets are almost 60% off, depending on which ticket you get. But we really designed early bird. It kind of helps us because we fund it ourselves. Getting money in the till, we thank you for it by giving you a big discount, but that's how we get our band.
That's APPALOOSA festival.com. And
Appaloosa like the horse.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tell you, it looks like a great weekend for Labor Day. I mean, if you're not going to the beach, it's a lot cooler right at the foothills of the Shenandoah, that's for sure, than it is on the beach. And it's a great way to end the summer before school really gets into full gear and everything else. Check that out for sure.
When the stars come out, it's amazing. There's no light pollution out there, and it's just a blanket of stars. It's incredible.
True. Well, and also you want to go to Scythianmusic.com and you can find out all about the trip to Ireland and the cruise. And I've got a little tip for you on the cruise. You know Kevin Chaney, who's emceed the Irish Festival for many years, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, don't invite him.
Good man.
Don't invite him. The last time he was on a cruise, it was a mess.
There'll be nothing left at the bar. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. I mean, gosh, there's one picture floating around where it looks like he's like the lost child that should be somewhere on a milk carton.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, this cruise, I cannot wait. It's so, the fact that we're playing with 9 other bands, it's called a String Break Cruise. Like instead of spring break, it's string break.
Yeah, I've seen you guys play with some of these folks that you mentioned that are going to be on the cruise together at different festivals. It's not like you're two bands passing in the night, okay, we load in, they load out, we load, which you see at some festivals. I mean, you guys are truly friends.
Yeah, it's really amazing. When you're getting texts from your buddies on the road, it's like, you're just doing this, if you're doing it for 20 years, chances are you could have played, 40 or 50 festivals together because we're on the same circuit. And then just over time, you get buddies, and you can just basically see kindred spirits. And that's one thing I have to say about our fans is I love seeing our fans coming from different parts of the country and totally hitting it off. We have complete fan groups that do vacations, just not even around our shows. We'll just see pictures they're posting to our pages of I met at Appaloosa, or we met in Ireland, and we're best buds now. Because it's kind of our music. If you like our music, most likely you're going to like the people who like our music too. So that's kind of one of the things we love too. Is we're like matchmakers. Maybe we should name ourselves our website eHarmony or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's already taken.
Okay. Yeah.
But hey, well, just out of curiosity, okay? I mean, you've been doing music forever, and I mean, it was built into you guys and everything else in your family. Do you have any idea what you'd be doing if it weren't for music?
Man, that's really hard to tell. I love inspiring young people. So maybe I would have been like a campus minister of some sort, or maybe music for kids. We have that. We actually have a 501c3 for our music festival called Appaloosa Blue Ridge Arts Foundation, but they supply free workshops all weekend. And it's kind of like when you see the light up in a kid's eyes, it's such a magic moment. You're like, wow, that kid's life may be different forever now. Just because I took a little bit of time. And so I think, I probably would have been doing something like that. But I get to do that, so it's kind of amazing. It's really hard to make a living doing music. So the fact that I'm still doing it 20 years in, I just was saying this to my wife yesterday. We're on vacation right now. the fact that I can even take a vacation as a musician. I probably haven't had a vacation in like 12 years. It's kind of crazy. You're like, wow, I'm somehow still surviving in the world of music, which is, basically this show at Annapolis, the Ram said, if people decide that they can't come, well, then we don't make as much money. And then how do we pay our bills? And so there's a million factors. We're kind of like farmers, oh, there's a game on, it's a championship game, or there's a wedding, or there's a traffic jam, or it's raining or snowing. There's a million factors which go, or we can't find babysitters. You're always kind of at the mercy of the elements as a musician. So you kind of learn to live in the realm of gratitude, which I like. I like never knowing how we're going to do, because it keeps you hungry and it keeps you thankful. I mean, prima donna rock stars is just kind of the privilege of the very select who have enough money where they can be that way. But most musicians always feel super connected and grateful to their fans.
So to be able to be doing this for 20 years like you guys have is phenomenal. And nobody should make excuses for not getting to Ram's Head on stage on Friday, because you will not be disappointed by this show, nor will you be disappointed by any of the other shows that you'll see Scythian playing throughout the country.
Let's put it this way. If you buy tickets to Friday's show, I will give you free advice. Free advice? Yeah.
About what?
I don't know. Just if you need advice, I'll give it to you for free. Get your ticket.
Fair enough. That's awesome. You can't beat that deal. Hey, I'll tell you what, Dan, before we wrap up, you've got such a catalog of songs, and you've stepped on so many different stages all across the country and the world. When you get up on stage, for you personally, what is the one song that you just like, yes, this is why I do it. This song I love. I could never get tired of playing this. What song is it that just turns you on? I don't need to know why, but just which one?
Well, there's two songs. There's an original and a non-original. The non-original is The Mermaid, which is an old traditional sea shanty, but we turned it into like a ska tune. And it is so peppy that I just start bouncing around like a gummy bear when we start playing it. I just love that song so much. It just makes me happy every time. And then we wrote a song called The Motherland. It's kind of a Ukrainian theme. We wrote it as a thank you to all of our fans who carried us through COVID. It's very, appropriate now. All the people that have helped all the Ukrainian refugees.
Sure. It
could be about that. It's basically raising our glass for all of those who have carried us. And we teach the crowd to say "Na zdоров'я," which means to your health. And to be able to share, a little bit of our Ukrainian culture as a thank you is super special and meaningful to me. You never knew as a musician what impact you'd have down the road. But the fact that we are Ukrainian, and while all these things were happening, it meant so much to our fans to be able to express their condolences and sympathies. And they were throwing wads of money on stage often. Sometimes we'd have hundreds of dollars thrown on stage to give it to the Ukrainians. That was super powerful. And I'm always going to, love that song for that reason.
Fantastic. Well, you can probably hear that song on Friday, June 7th. That's this Friday at Ram's Head on Stage here in Annapolis. And there are a few tickets left still at ramsheadonstage.com. But you'll want to keep up with all things Scythian at scythianmusic.com, SCYTHIAN music.com. And that has links to their cruise, to their trip to Ireland, as well as to the Appaloosa Festival. So that's always a good place to start. You can buy your merch and everything else right there and see all the great stuff that they got going. But I want to thank Dan Fedoryka. Thank you so much for your time out of your vacation, for crying out loud. And I can't wait to have you come back to Annapolis.
Awesome, John. Thanks so much for having me as a guest on your show. And hopefully we'll see your listeners either at Appaloosa or at the Ram's Head on Friday.
Stuck here at the top. nursing homes with old forgotten songs. One time for the motherland, two times for all of our friends, four times for the gypsy band. One time for the motherland, two times for all of our friends, four times for the gypsy band. For all who carried us when times were serious and troubles buried us, they raised us to the sky. Two friends so far away who helped us on the way. We look on to the day when we'll lift them high. One time for the motherland, two times for all of our friends, four times for the gypsy band. One time for the motherland, two times for all of our friends, four times for the gypsy band.
This has been a bonus podcast from Ion Annapolis. Please visit us at ionannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Ion Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.